Hi everybody, this is the Football Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion, your host, the Hut, and this is another video on the insane asylum known as WFAN.
They're coming to take me away, ha-ha, they're coming to take me away, ho-ho, hee-hee, ha-ha, to the funny fun.
Yeah, so welcome back to the Football Hut. Hopefully, you get a chance to watch this video, the entirety of it. Trying to get this channel monetized, getting awfully close to getting partially monetized. But we love talking about, and I know a lot of people watch and love me doing these goofing on videos of the inmates, the residents of WFAN. Now we know about Brian Daboll this week. A lot of stuff came out about his temperament and his temper, dealing with his assistant, coaches. But that's not what the focus of this video is. I'll leave that up to you what you think about it. I mean, I'm okay with it being, having a standard for his team. Giants had, went 6-11 this past year. They had a rough schedule to begin with, but they had a lot of injuries, a lot of frustration with the defense. A big problem with the defense on this team is they didn't tackle. So anyone sort of supporting Wink Martindale it's a very strange thing. He's a good defensive coach, but they didn't tackle. The tackling on this team was terrible, as an aside. But with WFAN, they contradict themselves, and people don't realize that they do that, other than your host. I'm sure a lot of people do. But I'm going to go through a whole bunch of stuff here, and really, the impetus behind this video is because of the WFAN host, Sal Licata, who I like to call Spaz. And I've done a lot of videos on Licata over the last 4 or 5 months. In particular, the Baseball Hut 2 that I have, that's a separate channel. To where I'll give you, let's go back a little bit. He has basically said sources have told him that Mets first baseman Pete Alonso is a big problem in the Mets toxic clubhouse, he said. Now, I've gone after him pretty good, and he's come back and be very passive aggressively. Back in October, he blocked me for a couple of days on Twitter. And then on last week, he went after another YouTuber when it came to talking about Pete Alonso and the Mets. And that was because they went after the Mets again last week in the mid-morning show. The YouTuber Wardy NYM had come and just said something very tepid about why he doesn't watch and listen to WFAN anymore. And Licata basically belittled him because, Tyler Ward, who is the YouTuber, is younger than him. He's in his 20s. So he mocked his age and basically said, when you grow up, you'll understand. And they went back and forth. I did a video on Spaz, which is who I call Spaz, and I got a lot of views, and everything was great. And Spaz is a very angry person because I criticize him here, and he will not engage with me. Not that I care, but if you have an issue with me, write to me like a man. He won't do it. He's afraid. Because I am an unknown, and the reason he went after Wardy is because Wardy's known through the baseball industry. I am not known. People don't know me. They don't know my personality. When you're outside the mainstream, they fear you. Unfortunately, he's scared of me. I don't know why. I'm really a nice guy, to be honest with you. Aside from these videos. When these videos go on, that's a different story. I say it like it is. But he's a hypocrite because I had called him out and said, well, where are you getting these sources telling that Pete Alonso is a bad guy? Now, he had been sounding off about these leaks that came out about how difficult the Giants coach, Brian Daboll, is to work with. I'm going to read you this headline and this article, and a couple other articles from these other dumbcuffs from the Fan, how they basically come in defense of Brian Daboll. I would mention that the Giants are, now I say I'm a big Giants fan, but the Giants are simulcast on their radio station in terms of the games. So they get all the games there, so they're a partner. A direct partner with WFAN. The Mets are an indirect partner with CBS Network, but WFAN is a big partner of the New York Giants. And we know the story about how Sal went after Carl Banks. He hung up on Carl Banks. So Sal, in the first 5 months as a host, is starting to get a very bad reputation. There must have been a reason why he did not have a show for 15 years on the radio, why he was bouncing around all those years. And was doing fill-ins on the weekend, doing 4 or 5 different jobs on the side. So here we go from Odyssey.com. Sal sounds off on Wink Martindale Giants leaks. Hey, quote, coward. Calls these people cowards. BT, also known as Brandon Tierney, also known as the Coconut, and Sal Spaz Licata Open Tuesday show react to the report by Pat Leonard of the Daily News that included anonymous sources calling out Brian Daboll's fiery coaching strategy and how it at times interferes with coaching on game days. Sal says those sources complain about Daboll need to remember the nature of their profession. Quote, if you can't take the heat, then get your ass out of the kitchen, Spaz said. This is Brian Daboll's team. I'm with Daboll. This is football here. You don't work at a library. Sal doesn't see any problem with the head coach getting in the face of the coaches and players to motivate and set straight, and it shouldn't result in others anonymously going to the press about it. Quote, we're talking about game day, getting on the coaches in the heat of battle and in the moment. I have no issue with what Daboll is doing on game day. All the cowards, I'm talking about you, Wink Martindale, and the Wilkin brothers. All the cowards when Daboll, as a man, brought them in the room and said, anybody got a problem with me? What did they do? Nothing. The cowards did nothing. You tell me if this is a problem or Daboll fixing a problem. I think it's the latter. Now, I would mention this again. We're seeing the hypocrisy here. Spaz, if you have a source, that source should come out about Pete Alonso and talk about the problems in the Met clubhouse that was there in 2023. He did not mention any specific story. He did not specify one specific story that had anything to do with Pete Alonso. It was all murky. It was all platitudes, all lines. And the rest of this radio station has gone in lockstep with this comment about Daboll. Again, from Odyssey.com. Greg, Norman and Greg, or Boomer and Gio, as you know, anonymous attacks on Brian Daboll are petty and silly. And a recent report by Pat Leonard of the Daily News, blah, 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 blah. Let me get to the comments. Both Boomer and Greg agreed that this shouldn't be seen as a bad look for the Giants head coach. It's petty, it's silly. I don't see anything in this article. I think Brian Daboll can't be a head coach. It's ridiculous, Greg said. It makes him look worse than the person they're trying to take down in this article. Norman also believes that Martindale supporters are like the anonymous sources included in this article and says those sources should put your name on it. Okay, who are the sources that attacked and has been attacking Pete Alonso that are in the ear of Spaz Licata that caused the controversy this summer here with the Mets? The controversy was so heated that the Met front office said that Pete was a good guy. The Met announcer said he was a good guy. People that cover him in New York, like John Heyman, said he was a good guy. Heyman even went on the program with Spaz. And Spaz apologized to Heyman for them talking back and forth, debating about it. So you have the station standard is one way, but not the other way. I mean, complete, total monkey crap. Insane. But that's what you get here. Now let's talk to the insane person at the fan. This is Chris McMonagle, the psycho killer. Headline from Odyssey. Brian Daboll is under attack. C-Mac still riding with Giants head coach. After reading the exposed article of Brian Daboll by Pat Leonard, McMonagle called out the sources, criticizing the head coach's tendencies as Wink Martindale supporters that shouldn't be taken seriously. Okay, we have specific, and I'm not defending Daboll or attacking him, but you have specific stories about Daboll. We had specific instances where he lost it, screaming at coaches, screaming at players. But not one, and the hut means one incident that showed Pete Alonso in any kind of story, any specific detailed story discussing whether or not and how he was toxic. Not one story came out about him that was specific to him, specific to an incident. There wasn't anything that, well, he got into a fight with Jeff McNeil. No. He got into a fight with, say, Max Scherzer. No, nothing like that. Didn't get into a bad situation with Francisco Lindor, nothing. Tommy Pham said nice things about him after we left the Mets. He said a lot of nice things about him and Francisco Lindor and Brandon Nimmo. But again, WFAN contradict themselves all the time. And this is no different than what we've seen over the last many, many years. But if you're gonna come to the defense of Brian Daboll, be consistent and say, who are these sources that is saying that Pete Alonso is a toxic person to work with. That's all I ask for. That's all anybody. And this is the reason why WFAN and talk radio, sports radio in particular, is struggling so poorly. As I do this video, the story's gotten out that the legendary Sports Illustrated have fired everybody at that publication. Everybody's gone. Okay? And we know that the media is dishonest. And if you want to be honest with why Sports Illustrated collapsed, is because of what they've been doing every year with the Sports Illustrated swimsuit. I don't think it's going to be a swimsuit this year. What were they doing the last few years with the swimsuit issue? Just keep that in mind. Kind of disgusting things they've been doing on that. But the sort of old media is dying out because people are sick and tired of watching this stuff. People are tired of hearing this stuff. They want consistency and they want to be entertained. They want to have fun. This stuff is supposed to be fun. But when you listen to this stuff, this is not fun. This is not funny. And none of these people at this radio station, there's nobody that you look at and say, this guy is a funny guy, this person is fun to listen to. They're all caricatures of what they say we are as fans, either as a baseball fan, a football fan, basketball fan, a hockey fan. They try to represent themselves as a caricature. We've seen that with Joe Beningo. We've seen that now. Of course, Frank Fleming is a caricature of a Mets fan with Barstool Sports. And these guys too, that I talked about in this video. So, I don't take issue with them specifically saying this stuff about the critics of Brian Daboll. The issue is be consistent with everything else. So, you let me know what you think about this video. Of course, please subscribe to the Football Hut. And this is another episode of the Insane Asylum known as WFAN.
They're coming to take me away, ha ha. They're coming to take me away, ho ho, hee hee, ha ha, to the funny part.